She texted back in 10. When she arrived, the locks were different. I was sitting on the stairs. Not pacing. Not crying. Just still. That stillness you get after a storm has already flipped your life inside out. You're not sure what's broken anymore or what's still standing. You just sit and wait for the quiet to explain itself. When I saw the message pop up, I didn't respond. Just slid the phone into my pocket and walked to the front window, peeled the curtain back 2 inches, and watched. There she was. Samantha. Wearing those white flats she always complained hurt her toes, but she kept them anyway because they made her legs look summer-long. She had a plastic Target bag in one hand and her phone in the other. She stopped dead when she tried the door and realized it didn't open. She stared at the handle for longer than made sense. Like the lock had betrayed her. Like it owed her something. I didn't move. Didn't blink. She didn't knock yet, not right away. First, she looked around. Checked the doorbell camera. Noticed it was gone. That's when her brows pulled together and her mouth dropped open, just a little. She stepped back. The first beat of panic rippled through her. Now she knocked. Short, irritated knocks. Like she was waiting on a package and the driver was late. She knocked again. Harder. 3 sharp hits. I counted them in my head. 1, 2, 3. She pulled out her phone. It rang. My name lit up across the screen. I stared at it until it stopped. She called again. The ringtone kept playing. A third time. I didn't answer. Not because I didn't have anything to say. I had everything to say. I just wasn't going to say it on her terms. Not anymore. It had been 11 weeks since I knew. Not guessed, knew. I'll walk you through that part later, but for now just know this wasn't a gut feeling. This wasn't suspicion. This was confirmed. Cold. Final. The kind of confirmation that leaves no oxygen in your chest. The kind that makes you check your own reflection twice, like you're not sure if you're still in your own skin. Samantha had been sleeping with someone else. Some smirking, jawline-gifted dude named Brian from her office. I'd never met him, didn't need to. I'd seen enough. I saw the way her body language changed when she got texts from him. I saw the brightness in her face that used to be mine, now redirected to a screen she tilted away from me every time I walked into the room. The first time I was certain it was the way she smiled at her phone and put it face down. That particular kind of careful. The kind people only get when they're hiding something. The second time was worse. The second time was what made me pull the first thread. Her work trip to Atlanta? There was no Atlanta. No hotel conference. Just her, Brian, and a lake house rental 3 counties over. I found the receipt in her email. She'd used our joint account and forgotten to delete the confirmation. I read the check-in email 3 times. Romantic getaway for 2 was in the subject line. The Wi-Fi password was Heartlake 2024. She told me she was exhausted when she got back. Said she'd been in meetings all day. I nodded and kissed her forehead. That kiss made my stomach turn. I started digging. Quietly. 1 piece at a time. I wasn't emotional. I wasn't even angry. I just collected proof. Text threads, call logs, shared Google Docs with fake names. I screen recorded the entire thing. Saved it to an encrypted drive. I didn't plan revenge, I planned clarity. I needed to be 100% sure because once I made my move, I wasn't going back. And today was the move. Samantha was still outside now, knocking like a landlord was going to answer. Her texts kept coming. Jason, this isn't funny. Open the door. Seriously, what the F is this? I heard her kick the door. Not hard, just enough to let me know she was losing patience. But she wasn't panicked. Not yet. She still thought this was a tantrum. A stunt. That's the kind of ego she'd built up. She thought I'd never really leave. Never really change the locks. She trained herself to believe she was the one with the power that no matter how much she disrespected me, I'd stick around because I didn't have the guts to do anything else. She was about to learn otherwise. Before she left for Target, she told me she'd be quick. Said she'd grab some snacks for the weekend and pick up a new phone charger. Said she'd be back in 10. She was smiling when she left. I had been calm the whole time. But when she pulled up, when I saw her reach for the door handle and realize it didn't work, I felt something in my chest click into place. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't pride. It was relief. Because the door was locked. And for once, she couldn't lie her way back in. She circled the porch like she was looking for an answer, like the house itself might confess what happened while she was gone. She finally bent down, noticed the package, that box I left at the edge of the welcome mat, not taped shut, just folded neatly. The label on top said one thing. Yours. That's when her face changed. The tightness around her eyes melted into something heavier. She crouched slowly and opened the box. She didn't reach inside at first. Just peeled the flaps apart and stared. Her hands hovered there, frozen. I imagined her seeing the photo on top, a printout, not digital. I made sure of that, of her and Brian, arm in arm, walking down Main Street. He was holding an iced coffee. She had his jacket draped over her shoulders, laughing. Her mouth was wide open, eyes shut, head tilted just enough for me to know it wasn't a fake laugh. She always used to say I didn't make her laugh like that anymore. Under that photo was the sock. The one I found tucked behind the dryer, stuck between the wall and the floor. Not mine. Not even close. I wore athletic no-shows. This was long, black, and branded. XL stitched into the heel. I took it out once, smelled it. Regretted that. Still kept it. Threw it in the box. Then came the receipts. The screenshots. The booking confirmation for the lake house. The calendar event she thought was private, saved to SC branding session but tagged with Brian's email. She stood up slowly, box in hand, and turned toward the door. Banged again. This time it wasn't knocking. It was a demand. 3 heavy slams with her fist. Jason, what the hell is this? Are you kidding me right now? I still didn't move. I could see the shape of her through the beveled glass. Could see how stiff her body was. Her breathing was hard now. She wasn't confused anymore. She knew. And she was pissed, not because she was caught, but because I was doing something about it. I let the silence stretch. No more calls. No more texts. She started yelling. This is harassment. You can't lock me out of my house. I could. I did. 2 days ago, I met with a lawyer. Had everything reviewed. The house is in my name. Bought before we got married. She never bothered to put herself on the deed, something she once laughed about. That's your domain, babe, she'd say. Now that laziness was coming back for her. She had no legal right to this place. She was just a guest. And that invitation was revoked. She called someone. Probably Brian. Walked to the edge of the porch, phone to her ear, pacing like a sitcom character losing her mind. I could hear fragments through the window. Her voice going up. No, I don't know why. He put my stuff outside like I'm trash. No, Brian, listen to me. She turned around mid-sentence and kicked the box off the porch. Clothes spilled. The framed photo of us cracked on the step. That's when I stood. Quiet, slow, deliberate. Walked to the door. Pulled it open. And there we were face to face. She froze. Eyes wet but burning. You want to talk now? I asked. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. She wasn't ready for that. Because for the first time in this marriage, I wasn't asking anymore. She looked at me like I had just grown another head. Her pupils dialed into mine like she was searching for something she could still manipulate. Something soft. Something familiar. But I didn't give her anything. Not a twitch. Not a blink. Samantha tried to step forward. I didn't move. I just stood there in the doorway, blocking her path. You've completely lost your mind, she said finally. In that voice she used when a waiter brought her the wrong drink. No, I replied. I just stopped pretending I didn't know who you really are. Her lips parted. Shock, then that flash of ego, that old reflex to control the narrative. This is insane, she said. You don't even know what you saw. I know exactly what I saw, I said, and stepped aside. She hesitated, thinking I was letting her in. But I wasn't. Behind me on the floor was the envelope. Thick, bulging, stapled shut. She followed my eyes and saw it. What's that? She asked. Read it. I don't want it. Read it. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't need to. She took a slow step forward, grabbed the envelope, pulled the papers out. Her hands shook just a little, not because she was scared, but because she couldn't gauge how much I knew yet. That was her problem. She never panicked until she lost control. And right now? She had none. First sheet, the booking confirmation. 2 names. Hers and Brian's. Second, screenshots. 10 pages of messages pulled from a cloud backup she never even knew I had access to. Conversations between them, all timestamped, clean, clear. Pet names. Meeting spots. Plans. Third, my notarized statement signed 2 days ago, filed alongside the separation petition. The only sound in the room was the paper shaking between her fingers. This is revenge, she muttered, eyes still on the pages. No. Revenge would have been sending this to your mother. Her eyes snapped to mine. I didn't smile. Didn't gloat. Just stared. You have no right to. I have every right, I interrupted. You brought this into my home. You let him into our space. You lied every single day, Samantha. You made me feel like I was going crazy. You looked me in the eye and made me apologize for noticing you were disappearing. I didn't. You did, I said firm. You told me I was paranoid. You laughed in my face while I was tearing myself apart trying to believe you. And now you're here, acting like I'm the one who needs explaining. Her lip trembled for a second. Just a second. But I caught it. That crack in the mask. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said. You didn't care if you did. Silence. She looked away. Out at the street. She had nowhere to go. Not yet. Her car was parked across the driveway, her things scattered in the box she kicked off the porch. A hoodie lay in the dirt. One of mine, or maybe Brian's. I didn't care anymore. When she looked back at me, the charm was gone. No more sweet tone. No more fake regret. I hope you feel real big doing this, she hissed. Real proud of yourself. I held her gaze. No. Just finally clean. And then I closed the door. Locked it. Walked upstairs while her voice rose behind me, shouting into the wood. The kind of yelling that comes when the lies don't work anymore. When the act fails. When the mirror starts talking back. I didn't listen. I didn't need to. I went to the bedroom, the one that still smelled like her. Opened the window. Let the air in. Because that house? It finally belonged to someone honest. The screaming stopped after 12 minutes. I know, because I timed it. Not because I was hoping she'd leave, I already knew she would. I timed it because I wanted to know exactly how long it would take for her to realize that this time, no amount of yelling would get her what she wanted. When it finally went quiet, I waited another 2 full minutes before heading back down. Just in case she was still crouched by the door, lips curled, ready to pounce if she heard footsteps. But the porch was empty. Her car was gone. The box of clothes was knocked over again, half its contents spilled into the rose bushes. I didn't touch it. I went to the kitchen. Poured water. Sat at the table. My hands didn't shake. I wasn't spinning. I wasn't even angry anymore. I was just hollowed out, not in pain, not numb, but stripped. Like someone had taken a sandblaster to every emotion I ever had about her, and now all that was left was the shape she used to fit in. I didn't cry. Hadn't for days. That happened last week after I saw the security footage. Let me explain that. See, a friend of mine, Marcus, works in private security. Real hush-hush, installs top-end home camera systems for big names, corporate clients, even a couple of celebs. I told him what I suspected. He didn't ask questions. Just came over one weekend when Samantha was visiting her sister. Planted a pinhole camera in the living room, 2 in the hallway, 1 in the guest room. They were motion-triggered, audio-enabled, synced straight to my laptop. 3 days later, I watched Brian walk in with a key. A key. He didn't knock. He didn't ring the bell. He let himself in. And what's worse, he was on the phone when he did it. Loud, casual, holding a smoothie. Like it was just another Thursday. That did something to me. I watched the footage 5 times. Not because I needed to confirm it, but because I couldn't believe how normal it looked. The way she laughed when he hugged her from behind. The way she let him sit on my couch, put his shoes on my table, kiss her neck. It wasn't secretive. It wasn't desperate. It was practiced. Comfortable. They'd done this before. When she got home later that night, she kissed me too. On the cheek. Said she was tired. Said she missed me. And I said, me too. Because I was still waiting for the right moment. Not to hurt her, but to finish the game she thought she was winning. Now here I was, sitting alone in my kitchen 3 hours after she'd been locked out of her own mess, wondering if she was telling Brian everything or if she was blaming me. If she was crying or plotting. If she had someone else lined up to crash with tonight. Didn't matter. Not anymore. I walked back upstairs. Opened my laptop. Deleted the footage. I didn't need it now. It had served its purpose. And honestly, I didn't want to carry it with me. I didn't want her voice echoing through my speakers anymore, laughing in that fake way she always used around people she wanted to impress. I went to the closet. Half empty now. Her side was barren except for a rogue scarf and one red heel she must have missed. I picked it up. Held it. Thought about throwing it out the window. Instead, I set it gently on top of the scarf and shut the door. Tomorrow, I'd call the lawyer. Sign the papers. Send her the location for pickup. Tonight, I'd sleep in my own bed, the whole thing to myself. No fake kisses. No turned back. No scent of someone else on her skin. Just me. For the first time in months. That felt like enough. She didn't call that night. That surprised me. Not because I expected an apology, that ship had sunk months ago, but because Samantha never walked away without a monologue. She loved a final word. She built whole fights around them. But not this time. Not a single text. Not even a guilt trip grenade like, I don't know who you are anymore. I spent the night on top of the covers. Not asleep. Not quite awake either. Just lying there, staring at the ceiling fan spinning in the dark. Thinking about all the little lies she told that I used to forgive or worse, ignore. Like how she always said her phone died when she didn't text back for 5 hours. Or how her gym buddy was just someone she met in a group class but she never could remember her name. It's crazy how loud the past becomes when the present finally shuts up. Around 3:40 a.m. I got up, made coffee, and opened my email. That's when I saw the new message. Subject, you win. No greeting. No sign-off. No body text. Just those 2 words. I stared at it for a solid minute. You win. Like this was a game. Like it had points, levels, and an end screen. As if me finding out she was cheating, lying, living 2 lives, that was the play, and now I was the one keeping score. I didn't reply. I archived it. A few hours later, the silence broke. Not from her mother. Mrs. Kimberly Duncan. She called my phone, which was strange since we hadn't spoken in almost a year. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was short, tense. Jason, I just spoke to Samantha. I think you 2 need to talk, please. This doesn't sound like you. Call me. Didn't sound like me? Of course it didn't. Because Samantha didn't tell her mom what she did. She probably spun it into some tragic story about a sudden breakdown, framed me as cold and impulsive. Maybe even dangerous. That was her real talent. Not just lying, but lying so convincingly that other people questioned their own eyes. Later that morning, I got a text from an unknown number. North Carolina area code. I think we need to talk. Man to man. I didn't respond, but I knew who it was. Brian. I sat with that message for a long time. Not because I was tempted, I wasn't, but because the audacity made me want to laugh. Or scream. Or both. Man to man? He wasn't a man. He was a coward who came through the back door while I was out building a life for 2. A shadow that fed on someone else's home like it was his birthright. And now he wanted to talk? Talk about what? How good the lies tasted when she whispered them in his ear. How funny it was that I believed her business trips. How the bed felt when it still smelled like me. I put my phone down, went out to the garage, stood there for a while, looking at the toolbox I hadn't touched in months. Opened the top drawer. Everything still where I left it. Organized. Clean. Untouched. That drawer had something she never gave me. Honesty. Tools don't pretend. They are what they are. You pick them up, they do the job. No guessing, no games. I took out a wrench. Just held it. Cold, solid. Real. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even bitter. I was ready. Because I wasn't trying to win anything. I was just finally done playing. The next 3 days were strange. Not quiet, not loud. Just a strange kind of static. Everything felt paused. People around me went on with their lives like nothing had happened, while mine was still vibrating from the impact. I went to work, answered emails, had 2 Zoom calls, smiled when I had to, laughed at the right parts. Nobody suspected a thing. That's what betrayal does to you. It turns your life into a stage play. You say your lines. You hit your marks. You nod at the audience. But none of it's real. The only real thing that week was the voicemail from Samantha. Came late Thursday night. 1 minute and 46 seconds. I didn't pick up. Didn't even see the call until it was over. Just the red bubble waiting. I didn't want to listen, but I had to. Like picking at a scab just to see if it still bleeds. I hit play. Her voice was soft. Tired. That fake wounded kind she used when she wanted sympathy. Hey, I don't know what else to say. I guess you're not talking to me and I get it. I do. I thought maybe you'd at least let me explain. I didn't mean for it to go like this. I didn't plan for any of it. It just happened. She paused there. That pause? That was her adjusting the narrative, searching for the version of the truth that might still work. Brian wasn't supposed to be serious. You and I were just so distant, and I felt like I didn't know who I was anymore. I know that's not an excuse, but it's the truth. You pulled away first, Jason. You stopped seeing me. That part? That was the dagger. The flip. The classic. Look what you made me do. I kept waiting for you to ask me what was wrong, to try harder, but you didn't. You just went quiet. I felt alone and Brian, he listened. He was there. Another pause. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything. I just needed you to know that I didn't stop loving you. I laughed. Not out loud. Just a short exhale, a soundless thing. Because love doesn't live in silence. It doesn't sneak around. It doesn't wear another man's cologne into our bed and then say, "I love you," like that's still worth something. The rest of the message trailed off. She started crying near the end, or maybe pretending to. I couldn't tell anymore. Everything felt like acting, rehearsed, edited for effect. When it ended, I deleted it. Not out of spite. Not because it hurt. Because it didn't matter. The next morning, I mailed the divorce papers. Priority delivery. Signature required. I didn't text her. Didn't warn her. No, please sign by this date. She'd see the envelope. She'd know. The only thing I added was a sticky note inside, taped to the top. 2 words. Checkmate, sweetheart. It wasn't a threat. It was a reminder. I was done playing defense. She signed the papers. No fight. No note. Not even a call. Just a notification from the courier, delivered and signed by recipient, S. Duncan. That was it. I expected something. A dramatic text. A teary voicemail. Maybe a last-ditch plea or even a manipulative jab just to remind me she could still pull strings if she wanted to. But instead, silence. That should have been the end of it. But endings with Samantha were never clean. The following Monday, I came home from work and noticed the gate to the backyard was open. I never leave it open. I froze. Just stood there, key in the lock, watching the stillness of the grass beyond the fence. Nothing moved. The breeze was low, just enough to carry a faint sound from the side of the house, soft, rhythmic. I stepped carefully, not scared, just tense. That deep tension that comes when you know something doesn't add up. And there she was. On the back patio. Samantha. Sitting on my chair, legs crossed, drinking from a bottle of the wine I'd brought back from our Napa trip. The same bottle I'd been saving for a future anniversary. The cork was on the ground. The foil torn in half. Her lipstick on the rim. She didn't even flinch when she saw me. "You changed the locks," she said, like it was a joke. Like I hadn't already told her, loudly, permanently, that she didn't belong here anymore. I didn't say anything. Just stared. She sipped again. Looked up at the sky like we were just reminiscing. Her hair was in a bun, loose strands falling over her cheek like she'd styled it on purpose to look unbothered. "I thought you might have called," she said. "For what?" "I don't know. To ask how I'm doing. To say goodbye properly." I almost laughed. "Goodbye properly? We were married, Jason. Doesn't that mean anything to you? Did it mean anything to you when you let him sleep in my house?" Her jaw clenched. I saw it. A twitch. Her grip tightened around the stem of the glass, but she didn't put it down. "You were cold to me for a long time." I wasn't cold. I was tired. Tired of being lied to, stonewalled, blamed. "You didn't fight for me." There was no one left to fight for, Samantha. That hit. For a second, her composure cracked. Her eyes welled. She looked down at her wine, and for a moment, just a flicker, I saw the version of her I used to love. Vulnerable. Small. Human. But then she looked up, and just like that, the mask was back. "Well," she said, standing, "I guess you finally got your little revenge moment. You must feel real good about yourself." "I don't," I said. "I feel clean." She smiled. Not kindly. "You'll miss me." "No," I said, walking past her to pick up the wine bottle. "I'll miss who you pretended to be." She stood there for another few seconds like she was waiting for me to take it back. To soften. To fall for it one last time. But I didn't. She left without another word. Didn't take the wine. Didn't take the glass. Just walked barefoot through the grass, back through the gate, and disappeared into her car without looking back. I poured the rest of the bottle out. Every drop. Then I stood there in the quiet. Letting the door click shut behind me, the next morning I called the locksmith again. New gate locks. Security keypad reinstalled. Camera coverage extended to the backyard, side entrance, and garage. He didn't ask why. I didn't offer it. I spent the rest of the day clearing out everything that reminded me of her. I wasn't grieving, this wasn't mourning. It was a purge. Her cookbooks, her candles, her favorite throw blanket with the stupid tassels. All of it boxed. Donated. Burned in one case, the Polaroid collage she insisted on hanging above the stairs. I didn't even pause. Yanked it straight off the wall and dropped it into the fireplace. Watching it curl and blacken felt better than I expected. By Thursday, my house didn't feel like a graveyard anymore. It felt like mine. That night, Marcus came over. The friend who helped me install the cameras, one of the only people who knew the whole story. We sat out back, beers in hand, music low. He didn't say much at first. Just listened. "You good?" he asked eventually. I nodded. "Getting there." He took a sip. You know she's gonna pop back up again, right? Maybe not now, but eventually. They always circle back, especially the ones who don't think they ever did anything wrong. I stared into my bottle. I know. What are you gonna do when she does? I already did it, I said. That door's shut. We didn't talk about her after that. Didn't need to. The next few weeks were uneventful. Work, gym, sleep, repeat. I started eating better. Stopped drinking for a bit. Canceled all the streaming accounts we used to share. Swapped out the bedsheets. New color. No memories. Then one night, while clearing out the last drawer of her old things, I found the journal. Not mine. Hers. I hadn't even known she kept one. It was small. Leather-bound. Tucked behind a pile of unused notebooks. The elastic strap was still tight, like it hadn't been opened in a while. I almost threw it out. But I didn't. I sat down on the edge of the bed and started reading. The entries were scattered. Not daily. Not even consistent. But the tone, it was shocking. She wasn't writing love letters or poems. She was writing rehearsals. Excuses. Explanations. Half-finished paragraphs about what she might say if he finds out. Quotes like, "I didn't mean to lie, I just needed space." And "He never listens to what I need." There was even a line that made my blood freeze. "If Jason never finds out, just deny. He overthinks everything. He'll turn it inward." She wrote that 6 months before I ever suspected a thing. She planned her exit while I was still buying her flowers on Fridays. I closed the journal. Didn't tear it up. Didn't throw it out. I slid it into a Ziploc bag, placed it in a file folder with the rest of the evidence, and put it in the safe. Not because I'd ever need it again, but because part of me wanted to remember. Not to hold onto anger, but to never, ever forget the kind of lies people are capable of dressing up as love. It had been 41 days since I last saw her in person. That was the day she trespassed into my backyard, drank my wine like it was hers, and left that lingering smirk behind like a calling card. Since then, silence. Not a message. Not a missed call. Nothing. I thought that would be the end of it. But narcissists don't leave clean. They wait. They strategize. They watch for the right moment when you've finally stopped looking over your shoulder. When you've found peace. That's when they strike, not with fists, but with little needles. Subtle chaos. And sure enough, on a rainy Tuesday morning, it happened. I was standing in line at the bank when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You didn't need to ruin my name." Just that. I stared at it, heart steady. No panic. Just that dull, familiar contempt. 2 minutes later, another text, this time from a different number. "Hope the attention was worth it. Your boss won't like it." That one made me raise an eyebrow. I called Marcus. "Background noise," he said. "She's fishing. She knows she can't win, so now she's trying to make you flinch. Ignore it." But I didn't. Not because I was afraid, but because I wanted to know how deep she was willing to go. Later that evening, I got the email. Anonymous account. Subject, FYI. Inside were 3 screenshots. Cropped. Manipulated. Out of context. Old texts between me and a female coworker from over a year ago, jokes, lunch banter, nothing serious. Samantha must have gone through my phone during one of her Target runs. Back when I still trusted her not to snoop through my stuff. The message beneath the screenshots said, "Let's see how your office likes this. Cheaters always get caught eventually." I laughed. That bitter, hollow kind of laugh that sounds more like disbelief than humor. Samantha was trying to rewrite the story. She got exposed, so now she wanted to flip the narrative, paint me as the unfaithful one. The liar. The monster. So I responded. Not with anger. Not with threats. Just one message. "You cheated. I proved it. You lied. I recorded it. You lost. I moved on." I hit send. Blocked the number. Blocked the email. Then I forwarded everything to my lawyer just to have it documented. This wasn't a relationship anymore. It was a cleanup job. And I was done letting her bleed into my life like some ghost of a mistake I hadn't finished making. The next morning, I got a single reply from my lawyer. "Let her keep swinging. Every punch lands on air." He was right. She could throw all the tantrums she wanted. Smear dirt across whatever mirror she was afraid to look into. It wouldn't matter. Because I wasn't in the ring anymore. I was already walking out the other side. It had been 2 months. 63 days since I changed the locks. 41 since the wine bottle stunt. 11 since her last attempt to dig her claws back into my life by trying to smear me. And yet, I still caught myself hesitating some mornings. Hand paused above my phone, wondering if today would be the day she tried again. Wondering what shape her manipulation might take next. A crying voicemail? A new number? A flying monkey in the form of some mutual friend trying to check in under the disguise of neutrality? But no. Silence. And then came the twist I didn't see coming. Her brother reached out. Mike Duncan. A guy I'd always gotten along with. We weren't best friends, but we bonded over football, grilled out during summer holidays, had a couple beers when Samantha was out of town. He was chill, level-headed, a stark contrast to the whirlwind that was his sister. He texted me late on a Sunday night. "Can we talk?" I stared at the message, sat with it, finally typed back. "About what?" His reply came a few minutes later. "Her. You should know some things. I'm not on her side." That caught my attention. I called him. No small talk. No awkwardness. Just a deep breath, then he went in. "Look, man, I didn't know what she was doing until after it all blew up. She didn't tell us. She just said you snapped. She spun this story like you locked her out for no reason. Said you were controlling, paranoid. That you had a temper. I didn't say anything." Mike continued. "My mom believed her. Hell, I believed her at first. But then, stuff didn't add up. I talked to her ex, the guy before you. He told me some things. Patterns. Same kind of stuff. And now Brian, he's gone. Blocked her, dipped out. She told me he ghosted her. That made me blink." "He ghosted her?" Mike sighed. "Guess he wasn't signing up for the fallout. She tried to move in with him. He said no. She called him a coward. He changed his number." I leaned back into my chair. The irony almost made me smile. "She's unraveling, man," Mike said. "Told my mom she's depressed. Says no one understands her. That she's being punished for one mistake. But it's not one mistake, is it?" "No," I said. "It never is." Mike went quiet for a second. Then, "You did the right thing. I know that doesn't mean much coming from me. But you did." I didn't thank him. Didn't need to. We hung up. I sat there for a long time after the call ended. Not angry. Not sad. Just done. She was unraveling. Not because of me. Because of herself. Because she built her world on illusions and forgot that mirrors eventually crack. Her brother saw it now. Her ex had seen it then. And Brian? He ran. She was alone. And for the first time since all of this started, I felt something I hadn't expected. Nothing. Not pity. Not guilt. Not triumph. Just nothing. She was no longer a part of my story. She was just the reason I started writing a new one. The strange thing about betrayal, once the fire dies, once the dust settles, is that you don't walk away carrying pain. You walk away carrying clarity. I didn't realize how much of myself I had twisted just to keep her comfortable. How many of my own needs I'd shoved into the back of a drawer so she wouldn't feel challenged, confronted, or inconvenienced. I had made excuses for her anger, her silence, her disdain. I mistook eye rolls for exhaustion, cold shoulders for stress. I took lies like medicine, swallowing them without chewing, pretending they were the cure when they were the illness all along. Now, in the quiet, I was finally breathing clean air. My house felt different. It had a rhythm again. Not silence, peace. I started waking up earlier. Running before work. Cooking again. Real meals. Not just frozen junk eaten standing over the sink because she didn't want to sit at the table with me anymore. I opened the blinds every morning. She used to hate sunlight. I let music play through the house speakers in every room. Not the playlists we made together, but new ones. Mine. No shared meaning, no memories built into the lyrics. Just noise that belonged only to me. And I started writing again. Not messages. Not arguments. Just thoughts. Journals. Truths I'd buried under years of conflict. I wrote about how she made me feel invisible. About how I'd known something was wrong long before I had evidence but was too scared to say it out loud. About how she weaponized disappointment, always letting me know I wasn't doing enough without ever defining what enough was. I even started therapy. Not because I was broken, but because I refused to carry her damage forward into whatever life I had next. It was in one of those sessions that my therapist, a sharp, blunt woman named Dr. Keller, said something that stuck with me. Some people don't cheat because they're missing something. They cheat because they're empty and they use people to fill the void until they find a shinier distraction. That hit harder than I expected. Because Samantha had always acted like her actions were reactions. Like everything she did was because I hadn't done something first. But that wasn't the truth. The truth was she was starving. And instead of nourishing what we had, she took bites out of other people, hoping they'd taste like peace. They didn't. And now she was left with a pile of scraps and no table to sit at. I didn't hate her. I didn't forgive her either. I simply left her behind. And the best part? She couldn't follow. It rained on the day the divorce was finalized. Not a downpour. Just one of those steady, gray-ski drizzles that makes the world feel hushed, like the earth itself is pressing pause. I didn't dress up. Just wore jeans and a clean shirt. Walked into the courthouse alone. No theatrics. No last-minute drama. She didn't show. Send a representative. Fitting. Even her final act in our story was done through someone else. The clerk handed me the final decree. No fanfare. Just a stamped piece of paper confirming what I already knew in my bones. It was over. And not in the TV movie kind of way. Not with slow-motion flashbacks or soft piano music. It was just done. A chapter closed. A book shelved. On the drive home, I took the long way. Passed by places I hadn't seen in months. The coffee shop where we had our first date. The park where she pretended to care about the dogs we said we'd adopt someday. Even the streetlight she used to run every morning when she actually ran back before the excuses started piling up like laundry she never folded. I didn't stop. Didn't need to. When I got home, I did one last thing. Opened my laptop. Created a new folder. Labeled it, before. Dragged in everything, the photos, the screenshots, the journal scans, the recordings. All of it. One by one. Then I compressed the folder, encrypted it, and buried it deep in an external hard drive. Not because I wanted to hold onto it. Because I wanted to archive it. Seal it like a time capsule. A reminder not of her, but of me and the version of myself I had to crawl through fire to recover. And then, I opened a blank document. Labeled it, After. I didn't know what I was going to write in it yet. A new story. A new life. One where the truth wasn't something I had to dig for. One where love didn't come with fine print or loopholes. But I knew one thing for sure. The first word would never be her name. Because Samantha was the last chapter in a book I outgrew. She thought she was the storm. But I was the one who walked through it and came out clean.